This is the Shore Sports Network. WOBM Lakewood Township, WADB Asbury Park. Listen online at WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
And a very good Thursday evening, live from Baker's Water Street Grill in Toms River. It is the Thursday night high school football show here on the Shore Sports Network, 1160 and 1310 AM, and shoresportsnetwork.com. Kevin Williams, Matt Harmon, Ed Sarluca, delighted you join us on a Thursday night. Busy night, as always, as we recap week one of the high school football season, or the full week one of the high school football season, and get you set for what should be another good weekend, and certainly a gorgeous weekend weather-wise. On the show tonight, we'll talk Brick Green Dragon football in a little while with their first-year head coach Len Zdanowicz, coming off a big one over Brick Memorial, and his outstanding senior offensive lineman Alex Trapasso. They join us live in the house. Also, a little bit later on in the first hour, we'll get a visit from Toms River North junior quarterback Mike Husney. He's got a big one coming up tomorrow night when his Mariners visit Brick Memorial in what is our Jersey Mike's Game of the Week on the Shore Sports Network. And later on tonight, we talk with Mater Dei Prep head coach Shannon Hoadley, who got a win in his head coaching debut for the Seraphs. And, of course, our weekly spot with Monmouth University coach Kevin Callahan. All coming up between now and 8:30 tonight. Delighted you are joining us as we talk our favorite thing, and that is high school football. And we'll save the conversation of the Brick Memorial game until our opening guests join us from the Green Dragon. So let's put that game aside. Coach Sarluca, I throw it to you first. In looking at last weekend, what jumps right out at you?
Well, the first one was St. John Vianney and Matawan. Of course, that was the marquee game, I think, of the weekend. Two top 10 teams. St. John's winning it 30-21. With a late rally. Interesting game because Matawan played without their star quarterback, sophomore George Pearson, who evidently has a hip injury, which was basically pretty much
kept under wraps.
Yeah, kept under wraps, and they went with their backup quarterback who played pretty well. And that's going to be interesting to see if he can come back, or if he does come back. Right now, he is still listed as week to week on the depth chart. So we shall see if John Kay can get his star quarterback back. Of course, Pearson led Matawan to a Central Jersey Group 3 championship last year.
Mr. Harmon, that was obviously a big game, but there were a couple of other pretty interesting ones, and I guess one that stands out a little bit, a wild one, was Ocean and Neptune.
Yeah, and that was a big game for both of those teams. We talked about it last week. What would Ocean do with Tyler Thompson back and healthy? They're a team that, at least going into the season, you would think would be the one that could be earmarked to compete with RBC in B North, and certainly a wild game back and forth. And I think for Neptune, obviously, disappointment losing week one, but if you can hang toe-to-toe with Ocean, I think you're going to be okay during the course of the season for sure.
And by the way, Thompson had a terrific 71-yard touchdown, one of the top 10 plays of the week that you can see on shoresportsnetwork.com, brought to you by Professional Orthopedic Associates. That was a very nice, smooth transition, wasn't it?
That was good, right?
Thank you
set
very
you
much.
up perfectly.
Appreciate
Interesting
that
game also, Matt, that Thompson played defense, so fully recovered from that broken leg suffered midway through last year.
Well, I mean, he's their best guy. Mm-hmm. He's a tremendous athlete. I think for Ocean to have success, I mean, yeah, you want to keep him fresh running the ball, but he's someone who's got to be on the field, I would think, as much as possible.
Yeah, I like the attitude of Donnie Klein. Hey, he's our best football player, offense, defense. Let's get him on the field. Can't worry about previous injuries.
I think Ocean is hungry for some W's this season, and that's a great way for them to get off by beating Neptune. A couple of other games I thought that stood out. We didn't spend, last week was we previewed the season. We didn't spend a ton of time, unusually, on the number one team on the shore, Middletown South. But interesting, we're broadcasting the Toms River South Donovan Catholic game Friday night, and we're following that game on Twitter, and they get off to a terrible start, Middletown South, and we're like talking about each other. Hey, Middletown South's in a lot of trouble here, and I mean, they just then turned on the Jets and just dominated the game.
Yeah, that was surprising as they went up 21-3 and basically torched in the secondary. South Brunswick threw 3 touchdown passes in the air, a couple of big ones, and then all Middletown South, somebody had the big pep talk on the sideline because all they did was run off 38 points after that point and won it easily 41-21 against a very good program. Remember, South Brunswick was 11-0 going into the finals last year and expected to beat a Manalapan team, and Manalapan came out victorious in that one to win their first state championship ever. So this is a good football program in South Brunswick.
Another game that kind of caught my eye, and it was one that we talked about last week also, was the Raritan-Manasquan game. Kind of an important game for both teams to see in A Central. Could they be slotted right underneath that Rumson-St. John Vianney Matawan line? And for the Rockets to be able to get a win at Manasquan, I thought was extremely, extremely impressive.
I agree. Derek Ernst had a big
great running back.
He's a really good running back. Maybe a little bit under the radar, had big numbers last year, but, not talked about as much with some of the other guys. But he got off to a great start, and Manasquan dropping their opener, it puts them in a position of a big game on Saturday when they visit Monmouth Regional, who's coming off a good win. So certainly that's one to keep on. Class B South, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Lakewood's upset of Central in a wild one, 40-34. The Amir Tyler show as he scores 4 touchdowns in a variety of fashions, and clearly
all in the first half, by the way.
All in the first half. Lakewood jumped out big. Central came back, got close, and then Lakewood kind of scored again to kind of put it away. But I think we all agreed, even in our preview last week, that Class B South is the most open division in the Shore, and what happened last week was just further proof of that.
Yeah, and I would imagine that this week, when you go into the weekend and when we're sitting here next Thursday talking about it, it will be just the reverse. Someone else will lose, someone else will win. Now that you'll have 7 teams that'll be 1-1.
Because it's a big one this week with Barnegat and Central.
Barnegat and Central, you take a team like Central, the preseason favorite to win the division, they lose tomorrow night, they're 0-2. Mm-hmm. 2 division games back is a long way to come from after 2 weeks. So, we're going to have week 2 matchups that are already significant, especially in terms of the division races. So that was a good win for L.J. Clark and his band of Piners. Red Bank Catholic, rather methodical, minus Eddie Hahn in a 28-0 blanking of Long Branch. The W for the Caseys without their star and just pretty much dominating all facets of the game.
Yeah, interesting in that game that Eddie Hahn was cleared earlier in the week. That's on the record now, and was on the sideline, dressed, did warm up. But, according to head coach Jim Portello, no way was he going to see the field. He's got to get some practice time in with his new offensive crew there. And, will he play this week against St. Joe Metuchen? Not sure about that. Coach Portello did not go on the record as far as saying he will play. He may not play. Maybe they get him some downs, depending on how that game and outcome comes.
That's an interesting one, too, thinking of Tyler Thompson going back to two-way football. Eddie Hahn's a pretty good secondary player as well. Great safety. So, how much does that impact RBC moving forward? Obviously, quarterback extremely important the way they run their offense, as it would be for any team, but he's a pretty solid defensive player as well.
He's going to he's verbal to UConn?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
As an athlete, though, right? Not necessarily a quarterback?
He's an athlete, so
yep.
it depends.
Could play anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's a guy
sort of like a Tymir Berry from last year at South, recruited as an athlete. Where do we need him?
Right.
But yes, he could be a great player either way.
So here's a guy in college. He could be a defensive player.
Yes.
Would not be the least bit surprised. Anything else? That was really kind of the highlights of the weekend. Pretty good, opening weekend. I say opening because the week 0 before that, pretty good opening weekend. And I think it does set the stage for a handful of games this week and week 2 that probably take on some extra meaning because of what happened last week.
Well, there's no question about that. I mean, you think about the high school football season in and of itself, the 8 games kind of before the playoffs for some, 9 obviously for others if they don't play over Thanksgiving, but 8 that kind of count towards the states. So if you go 0-2 to start, you're digging yourself a hole. You become that, the mouse who's trying to get himself to the top of the cup and see if he can get out, because it is a pretty big hole. I mean, it's 25% of your season after you play, whether it's Friday night or Saturday this weekend. So to be 0-2, and think about a team like Manasquan, 0-2 in that division is pretty hard to bounce back.
Yeah.
If for some reason you lose to Monmouth Regional, you still got to play St. John Vianney, you still got to play Rumson, you still got to play Matawan, all within your league.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
All right. Well, listen, we've got a good one for you tonight. As we said, we'll chat with Mater Dei prep coach Shannon Hoadley. We have Toms River North quarterback Mike Husney among those we'll talk to. Bob Batters, of course, our guy from the Shore Sports Network. We'll look forward to him. Monmouth University coach Kevin Callahan. But when we come back, we'll take a break. When we come back, it's all about the green. The Brick Green Dragons are in the house, dressed appropriately, and we'll talk with them about their big season opening win and the hopes for this season. We'll do that after this. You're listening to the Thursday Night High School Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
Water Street Bar and Grill in downtown Toms River is the ultimate sports bar. With 32 HD TVs, Water Street brings you all of the action of every football game. Located right on the water, Water Street is the perfect place to enjoy the finest views of the shore. Whether you want to grab a few drinks with friends, catch your favorite game, eat a delicious meal, or enjoy live entertainment every Friday and Saturday nights, Water Street is the place for a good time. Located across from Huddy Park on Robbins Parkway in downtown Toms River. Visit them at bakerswaterstreet.com.
Hi, it's Dave from the Causeway family of dealerships in Manahawkin. Causeway knows it takes a great game plan and teamwork to keep our customers happy, like free oil changes and loaner cars. Giving back to the community is another game winner. For 46 years, Causeway has supported countless local charities, schools, and sports teams. This year, Causeway is a proud supporter of Shore Conference High School football. Stop by Causeway Ford Lincoln and present your Shore Conference game ticket to win a 60-inch HD TV. Online at causewaycars.com. Causeway, the right way to buy your next vehicle.
When it comes to sports, it's not about winning. It's about being in the game. Hard work, practice, and support from the people around you. That's what it takes to get you in the game. And we know what it takes to keep you in the game. We are Barnabas Health, and just like you, we work hard every day so that everyone we serve can be healthy and stay healthy. Monmouth Medical Center, Monmouth Medical Center Southern Campus, and Community Medical Center. All Barnabas Health facilities, all committed to keeping you in the game. Life is better healthy.
This is Marianne Levy, News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Broadcast from the Preferred Home Healthcare Studio. From skilled pediatric services to adult care, Preferred does it all. Preferred Home Healthcare with feeling.
The Jersey Shore's news leader. Listen online at WOBMAM.com and on the Radio Pup app for smartphones and tablets. News Talk Radio.
1160 and 1310 WOBM.
Fantastic weather for the overnight hours. Mainly clear skies, a low dropping down to the upper 50s. A good deal of sunshine on Friday. Highs back in the mid-80s. And we get to the weekend. It looks like it's going to be gradually cooling off. Clouds and sunshine on Saturday. Still a high of 84. Then beautiful weather Sunday. Partly sunny, dry, a high in the mid-70s. Becoming mostly cloudy on Monday. Highs up in the lower to mid-70s. I'm meteorologist Mark Thibodeau from the Weather Channel.
News Talk Radio, WOBM.
For the latest high school football news, visit shoresportsnetwork.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
And make sure you check out shoresports.com tonight and every day. And tonight we have our football picks for the weekend, brought to you by Gold Coast Cadillac in Oakhurst, the world's largest Cadillac dealer. Mr. Harmon and I out in the early lead after week one and a couple of games over Mr. Batters and Mr. Sarluca, who are...
I dispute that.
There's no disputing. It doesn't matter.
Wait a minute.
I'm in charge of the records. It's already done. It's on the website. That's the way it stands. Well, when we talked last week, when we were here last week and we were previewing the season and we started talking about, the games in week one, clearly one of the ones that was identified was Brick and Brick Memorial, not just because it's a great rivalry, but because of the significance it figured to have in the Class A South race. By the way, three of these so-called experts picked Brick Memorial. There was only one person who went with the Green Dragons. You know who that was, right?
Who was that again?
That would have been me. Okay, so anyway. But I don't think anyone could have expected what took place last week. Figured to be a very competitive ball game and one that would have gone down to the fourth quarter. Really, the Green Dragons put on a superb effort, collected a 36-6 win, especially gratifying for their first-year head coach, Len Zdanowicz, a 1990 Brick graduate, to go back to his alma mater as the head coach and collect the W. He joins us tonight as well as one of his outstanding, and he's got several outstanding linemen on both sides of the ball, but this guy's a terrific offensive lineman, a senior by the name of Alex Trapasso. So we welcome both of you to the show. Len, we're going to talk to you first, and I want to know about the emotions for you of everything that took place Friday night. A place you're obviously very familiar with, have played there, have been an assistant coach, but to go back to your alma mater as the head coach and what it was like for you the day of, especially Friday.
It was kind of like a blur as it was going on. I just remember getting a call from Coach Brown about Coach Wolf wanted to come by and talk to the kids. And I was right there. I kind of felt like, all right, well, now we know it's a little bigger than we even think it is. Coach Wolf came there and gave a great little speech before the game to the kids. I mean, as soon as he walked into the locker room, the kids just they popped up, and Coach Wolf gave a speech, and all of us guys who played for Coach that were there, just basically, I said it before. You close your eyes and you get that same speech that he gave to all of us when every one of us had played, and you had that. So that kind of gave it a little bit more juice when Coach got there. But the night before, I'm home with my wife and just looking at stuff and watching a little film, and you just, I was trying to just think it's like another game. And it's just going to be another game. It's only my first game, and they're having this pink out. NFL Network's going to be there. It's Brick Memorial. And I was like, wow. And it just all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait a minute. It got a little bigger and bigger. But it was, I say it, it's weird, but I felt very relaxed because as a coaching staff and our kids in practice, we had a great week. I mean, we put our game plan in, the kids absorbed it, and we have a very, high football IQ team, and we're able to do stuff with our kids that, it's stuff that we've always done, and just game planning our kids and putting them in the right positions to have success, and our kids executed the game plan flawlessly, pretty good on both sides of the ball, and it was a great team victory for us.
Well, Alex, that's what I was going to talk about because I was at the game and I witnessed complete domination of what was expected to be a pretty good football team. That is still to be seen as far as the Mustangs are concerned, if they could come back from that. But there were not many things that the Dragons did wrong in that football game. First of all, the atmosphere in the stadium was as good as I've ever seen it. We did the Toms River South game the night before, and I thought that atmosphere was right up there. To top that would have taken something. I think it did. From the pink out that was for prostate cancer awareness. Breast cancer, excuse me. Both stands full of pink, Kevin. I mean, both student sections outstanding, and just a operated system to play that football game in. And how you guys could keep your feet on the ground is beyond me. What do you think?
Yeah, well, when it's always Brick versus Brick Memorial, you're always going to have that kind of atmosphere. Well, we were all excited the night before, and it came so fast to us. So, the night before, we were looking at ourselves like, this is finally here. Because we always have a countdown towards it on the wall, and we were just so amped up for the entire game.
And you obviously realized you handled them pretty well last year. And, for them it was 360-plus days to get revenge. This is a good game no matter what. It's a rivalry game. But obviously after getting beat like they did last year, they really had special motivation going into this year. I mean, are you as surprised as I am that you won the game in the way you did?
I wouldn't say surprised. I mean, we all had confidence in each other. With the game planning with our amazing coaching staff, we all had a lot of confidence in each other. After weeks and weeks during the entire summer of practice, we knew our jobs and assignments very well.
Lenny, let's talk about that coaching staff, okay? Some familiar names back in green and white.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it all started out, I was getting some contact by some of the guys, when I was up for the job. And I said, well, we'll see what happens if I'm fortunate enough to get the job. And then when I'm fortunate enough to receive the job, and I got an email from Mr. Hanshin, can you get me your coaching staff within a couple of weeks? And I was like, oh, okay, right away. So I actually met with everybody, and I had met with Fred, and me and Fred kicked it off.
Fred Sprengel,
our offensive coordinator. We met actually before one of my lacrosse games in the Dragon's Den over by the turf field, and we sat there for about 3 hours talking about each other and philosophy and what we think, and we kind of clicked and kicked it off right from the beginning, and really had a lot of things in common. So it was a great opportunity for me to hire a coach that has been there and has done that, and he's helped me with a couple of things along the way that another head coach that has been through it can always help you with. And then getting on the offensive side of the ball, Chris James, who had a lot of success at Brick Memorial as a quarterback, and TCNJ, and then Jared Kite with our offensive line, who I coached Jared, I've coached with him. I just I love the kid. He's one of the best kids I've ever coached, and his heart is out there with these kids, and he cares about these kids more than I think they all realize. He's an awesome coach. Dave Christopher, a kid that I played with at Brick, that's doing our tight ends. He's doing a great job with our kids there. Coach Stockoff, who's moved to the wide receivers this year and has done a great job with a talented group of kids and getting them to buy into what we're doing. He's doing a great job with those guys. And then Coach Sainer, getting Coach Sainer to come on as an offensive assistant. It just every once in a while, Coach Sainer will just come out there and says something that just needs to be said at the right time to the kids about just getting going and getting it up. And he's a great addition. And for me, my first time ever coaching in high school was basically 1997 all-shore football game, and Coach Wolf put me in charge of the defensive line. Well, as an assistant to Coach Sainer with the defensive line, and Coach Sainer got there, and he said, "Coach Sainer, make sure Leonard's ready to do his job." And he said, "Okay, Coach, I'll get him." So we get there and we start going through drills, and Coach Sainer 5 minutes later was like, "You're fine, kid. I'm walking around." So he just took off and left me with him, and he was a great help for me there. Tell me a couple things then, and I've been in contact with him over the years. He's a great guy, and the kids really, really enjoy him.
Well, I don't want you to get in trouble now because you did leave one guy out. I'm going to ask Alex about him. That's Mr. Donovan Brown.
Oh, I didn't get the defense yet.
You didn't get to the defense. Well, we only got about 10 more minutes.
My bad. And then on the defensive
Tell us
side,
a little bit about Donovan Brown, Alex.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all know that coming in, when he started coming in, that we all knew he was a legend. So, and during the entire summer, he just brought an intensity, and we expected it too, that he would bring to us, and he just got every single one of us better by the intensity he brought every single day in practice.
How important is it, Len, to have Brick guys part of the Brick staff, young and old?
For me, I mean, being there for many years, and you get a guy like Coach Brown who basically transcends generations from being there, from playing in the 70s, coaching there throughout the 80s and 90s, and having him there and a resource just to come up and say, hey, got to change this, got to stop this, got to fix that. Okay, Coach, okay. I mean, just things that, when you're in charge of everything and you're thinking of the next thing all the time, you're not thinking sometimes of, should we cut back on this, should we fix that? And Coach Brown, I told him from day one, I said, you got to help me with stuff that you think you see. I value your opinion because I know what you did when I played here, and I don't mind any of my coaches telling me something that they think should be changed or done differently, as long as they can bring something to back it up. And Coach Brown does every time, and I take his advice a lot because he's one of those guys. I mean, as far as for me as a football player, going on and playing when I played at Brick, if it wasn't for a man like Coach Brown when I was playing, I wouldn't be where I am today. So he's a guy that along with Coach Wolf and my family and my mother and dad, he's one of those guys that's real important in my life. Tim Osborne, another one being so, as far as role models, that guys that I looked up to and helped me to be the guy I am today.
Well said. Very well said.
Guys, I'm going to talk about one player in particular here, Jasir Taylor. Tremendous football game on Saturday.
Yep. Jasir is just one of those kids that, we use him the way we want to use him to help us break games open. I mean, he's a game breaker. He's got great speed. He's got great athletic ability. He's a great talent. And, the great thing for us is he's only a junior. So it's good for him. he does some things, and he does those things in practice. He gives it everything he's got, most of the time in practice, and does a great job for us. And along with our running game, with him on the outside stuff and having our guys being able to do what they did on the inside too was a great combination for us.
By the way, Jasir, one of the plays of the week on the top 10 plays of the week, Ed, on shoresportsnetwork.com, brought to you by Professional Orthopedic Associates. Again, just a nice segue. What you wanted
to? No, I was just going to say that play broke the game open.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it was right before halftime. There were, 40, 50 seconds left. We figure Brick's going in the locker room with the small lead. All of a sudden, he goes 80 yards. Tremendous run. Then all he does on defense, by the way, first year on defense, right?
Yep.
Picks up a fumble and scores, right?
Yep. And he had the interception, and basically he dropped another interception that might have been a pick six for him too. So that went right through him. But listen, he did enough stuff for us to win the game.
All right,
so we're happy about that.
All right, look, let's get to the important thing. All right, first of all, we got Brick head coach Len Zdanowitz and senior lineman Alex Trapasso. Alex, let's talk about the offensive line, because everyone else is secondary, right? I mean, the running backs are nice and the quarterback, but we all know you'll win it up front. So tell me about the guys on the offensive line with you. Let's give them a shout out.
Well, at left tackle we have John Kozak, left guard Anthony Rosignolo. At center, and right guard Liam Poland, who's a first-time starter and really stepping up for us. And then at right tackle we have Tyler Colonna, who has been alongside me with the 3-year start.
All right, so as a group, who's the comedian in the bunch of those linemen? Who's the guy who can break a joke or get guys loose at times?
I'll probably have to go with Rosignolo, Anthony
Rosignolo. All right, and who's the best-looking guy?
Best looking, it's me.
I just throwing you a soft one. I wanted to give you a shot.
By the way, Kevin, we'd be remiss not to mention that today, Alex's birthday, his 17th birthday.
Big one. Did you go for the driver's license today?
No. I got my permit late.
Oh.
Okay, well, that's coming. Let me know. Living in Brick, I'll make sure I'm off the road,
You don't have to worry about him, man.
17 and a senior, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be one of the younger graduates in your class.
Yeah, I'm young in my grade.
Okay, Len, let's talk a little bit about this week's Southern Regional. 1-1 coming into the season, lost a tough game in overtime against Central. Did you see that? That was 0 week. I'm sure you guys went down. So you've seen him up close and personal. Came back with another overtime. Let's not make this week overtime, okay? Let's take care of him early. But another overtime. This one, a victory over Toms River East. Tell us about the Rams.
Yeah, I've seen Southern. I went to their Freehold Borough scrimmage. I went to their Central game. Went to their East game. They're a well-coached team. Coach Donahue does a great job with the team. They run their system, and they run it well. And it gives you trouble sometimes because some of their schemes they do kind of combat a lot of the stuff that we do. So, we've had a good week of practice, and our coaches have done a good job preparing the guys defensively and offensively for what they do. And we're expecting a hard-nosed football game. They haven't given up too much for the first couple games. Central busted a couple of nice big plays on them, and East really couldn't get much going against them. So their defense is tough. They're a well-coached unit. Coach Abato does a great job with the D, and Coach Donahue now running the offense and being up top, calling the offense for them this year. So we're expecting to get their best shot, and we're going to give them our best shot.
Alex, any concern about the letdown this week? I mean, you spend all summer getting ready for that first game. You build. You put a terrific performance on the board. You get a big win. There might be a little bit of a natural thing to let down. Is that a concern at all?
No, not at all. I mean, with A South, you have a battle every single week, so we have pick up the intensity every single week and get better and better every single week.
So you've had a good week of practice getting ready for tomorrow night?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
One more quick question, because you've only experienced Brick Memorial at the beginning of the year. Lenny, you've done it both ways. You like better playing them number one as opposed to Thanksgiving when you got all year to think about them?
At first, I was kind of against it when they moved it because I think of all the tradition of it. But I have to say, I think it's grown and it's gotten even better. It was always that tradition thing with the Thanksgiving Day. But at certain times, I can see how it could affect either team. If one team play off, one team not, and the motivation of both teams. But now, I mean, it's go time. I mean, it's the first game of the year, and I think it's great for both programs to drive your off season. I mean, when you go into that first game, and we had a countdown in our locker room that said how many days it was to that game, and the kids, you don't have to get them. You don't have to worry about if you're playing a team that might not be or whatever. You don't know what they are. But when you're playing Brick Memorial as your first game, it's on. I mean, the kids realize that, and it's a great where it is, and I would hope it just stay there forever.
Well, listen, I think, you guys, I think some people probably forget you are the defending Class A South champions. 9-2 last year, Brick was. Coming back this year, I think, such a loaded conference and so many good teams at the top. The Jackson Memorials, Toms River North, Brick Memorials, I mean, all really quality teams. Maybe flying under the radar a little bit early. That ends right now because obviously when you put a game up like you did last week, it opens eyes. So we really appreciate you coming down tonight and spending some time with us. Always a pleasure to talk Brick football. Best of luck the rest of the way, and I hope it's a great first season for you.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for having us.
Len, Alex, a very happy birthday to you. What'd you get? Anything good?
No, I didn't get anything.
Listen,
not yet.
When you go home, ask for the car, okay? That's what you should get.
His mom takes care of him.
Oh, yeah?
He's got a great mom. His mom spoils this kid. She's a great woman.
All the best to both of you. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go from the Green Dragons to the Mariners. We'll talk with their signal caller, Mike Husney. You're listening to the Thursday Night High School Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
If you've injured yourself, you don't have to deal with the pain or risk further injury by waiting for a doctor's appointment. Contact Atlantic Physical Therapy Center today. You can see one of their physical therapists without a doctor's prescription right away. Insurance companies will pay for treatments, allowing you to start therapy sooner and get better faster. Transportation and the Alter G anti-gravity treadmill are available. Plus, they're the official physical therapy provider for the Lakewood Blue Claws. For more information, call 877-9-NEED-PT or visit AtlanticPTCenter.com.
Water Street Bar and Grill in downtown Toms River is the ultimate sports bar. With 32 HD TVs, Water Street brings you all of the action of every football game. Located right on the water, Water Street is the perfect place to enjoy the finest views of the shore. Whether you want to grab a few drinks with friends, catch your favorite game, eat a delicious meal, or enjoy live entertainment every Friday and Saturday nights, Water Street is the place for a good time. Located across from Huddy Park on Robbins Parkway in downtown Toms River. Visit them at bakerswaterstreet.com.
At Jersey Mike's, we know busy lives and dinner don't always mix. But by making a sub above, we help make time for dinner time. With cold subs on warm nights and hot subs grilled for cool evenings. It's a really well-made meal, de-stressed. It's something really good, shared simply. It's a delicious dinner time in the bag. Jersey Mike's, be a sub above.
Your home for high school football. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
And welcome back. Thursday Night Football Show. We are live at our favorite place, Baker's Water Street Grill in downtown Toms River. Thursday Night Football tonight, by the way. You want to get out a little bit? Come on down here. You've got the Broncos and Chiefs from Kansas City. Should be a good one in the AFC West. Well, we know it will be a good one tomorrow night. The Mariners of Toms River North visit Brick Memorial in what is our Jersey Mike's game of the week. Looking forward to that one on 1160 and 1310 a.m. and shoresportsnetwork.com. No doubt a guy we'll be talking about quite a bit is the outstanding junior quarterback for the Mariners, Mike Husney, who's nice enough to join us probably after practice with family in the house to talk a little bit. Michael, good to see you.
Thanks for having me today.
So we had a chance to chat, you and I, when I did our football preview on Toms River North about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And one of the things we talked about was, you as a sophomore, as a younger guy playing, and how, even though you were in that natural leadership position of quarterback, kind of tough when you have a lot of seniors and upperclassmen, but now you're a little more comfortable with that. How has that gone so far in that you not just, being a guy who can also be a leader on and off the field?
Well, last year was our first year in our offense. This year in the offseason, we worked real hard as a team to get close and get that bond. Like, we didn't really have my freshman year. Last year was a little better. The seniors this year are very mature and more welcoming to all of us, all the younger kids, because we all played up. We were thrown to the fire my freshman year. Yes, last year we got our feet wet, and this year we're just looking to make something happen.
Aren't you happy that you don't have to look on the other side of the line and see a kid like Deshaun Copes?
Yeah, I'm glad he's on my team and I'll have to run away from him.
Tell us a little bit about him.
Day-Day's a real hard worker.
What's his nickname?
Day-Day.
Day-Day. I know. I hear that on the sideline, and I try to pick it up. I couldn't figure it out. Day-Day.
He's a real hard worker in practice. He's always going 110%. He's always willing to study the film. He's making my offensive line a lot better because we don't really see guys like him on the other side of the line.
I have a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh.
You jumped on top of me during the Christmas
Oh,
Classic.
wow, that's right.
Oh, on the basketball court.
That is correct. That is correct. I had just had a shoulder operation, and my partner for the day was good enough to just completely get out of the way, not protect me at all, and you came flying over the table. So you better make sure that you're good tomorrow night. I will not have many good things to say about you. You know, I'm putting together my sheet, and the one thing that kind of pops out at me, Mike, and you talked about being thrown in as a freshman and getting that experience over the last couple of years. This is a pretty balanced football team between yourself and Asante Moore and Carrington on the outside. There's a lot of weapons to work with.
There are a lot of weapons. All off season, we all work together. We got Darian Carrington outside, Bryce Watts, newcomer Kenny Cook, Darren Blackwell, who's sophomore, is looking pretty good, helps us a lot when Asante needs a break. Nick Tedeschi's our new fullback. Our whole offensive line was working hard in the offseason, lifting in the weight room every day. I've never seen people work as hard as them.
Who complains the most in the huddle when they realize they're not getting the ball? Because that's a lot of guys that you just mentioned that I would like to probably think that they can always be the one that's going to score.
It's between Darian and Bryce. They're always complaining to throw the ball.
Well, Bryce got a chance last week, had a good game against Lacey. And let's just talk real quick about your opener because it did look like at times the offense struggled a little bit. Was that a case of just week one, or do you feel like towards the end of the game it was getting better?
Towards the end of the game, we got a little bit better, but, I mean, it was the week one jitters. We really didn't know what to expect. We prepared all week, but we did our best. And this week we cleaned up a lot of things. We focused on our mistakes on the film. We studied the film real hard, watched Brick Memorial a lot. At home, we're all watching it together. We had pasta parties, watching film, studying. I've never seen a bunch of guys as focused on this week as I ever.
Mike, big-time scrimmage schedule for you guys this year too, right?
Yes.
To get you prepared for that first few games.
Our first scrimmage against Allentown was a good one because they play a lot of teams we would see in the playoffs.
Right. Playoff team last year.
Yeah. Central, hard team. Mike Bigford, their quarterback, they're real good. St. John Vianney was a tough one, but we came together as a team and played as the best that we can.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about tomorrow night because Brick Memorial clearly going into this season one of the teams in the top tier of Class A South, and obviously they had a tough one last week. They got beat up pretty good, but you're going to play a team tomorrow night that will be desperate. You cannot go 0-2 in Class A South if your dream is to win the division title, so you're probably going to get as good an effort as they can give you tomorrow night.
We're in the same boat as we were last year. To be honest, we really overlooked them last year, saying, oh, they got blown out, and we didn't play to our best capability. This week, we knew they're hungry. We know they're going to come after us, and we have that target on our back because we have a lot of these players working hard, watching film, studying, and we're just ready.
Has anybody mentioned last year's tough loss in the last-second field goal that Brick Memorial came out on top?
We really didn't mention last year because we don't want to jinx anything. Right. We know they're going to come. They're going to be a whole different team compared to last week. They're not going to be that team. A South's a hard division. You can't overlook anybody in the division.
You know, Mike, you've been through it now for the last couple of years. How does a team that's supposed to be successful like Toms River North is almost year in and year out, how do you stay focused during the course of each week of practice, really knowing that if you have any kind of a bad game, the way your schedule shakes out, there's a pretty good chance you're going to lose?
We don't really try to focus on that. We try to take it week by week and just see who's in front of us this week. We're not looking toward next week or the week after that. Right now, we're just focused on Brick Memorial, and we're ready to get this W.
All right, now we talk a lot about you as a quarterback, and you are the quintessential dual threat quarterback. You run it and throw it very well. But a couple of little birdies have told me you like to be on the other side of the ball too. You're not afraid to deliver a couple of blows from that defensive backfield spot.
A little bit.
You'd like to play a little more there?
Honestly, I would rather just play quarterback right now because that's my main part.
Right.
That's the position they have me in, and that's the best thing I can do for my team.
I'm sure Coach Ozowitz doesn't want any chance of you getting hurt on the defensive side of the ball.
How about Asante Moore? I mean, to go with him this year, you've got, what is it, Darren, right?
Darren Blackwell.
Darren Blackwell. I mean, those are two horses behind you.
Yeah, they are.
Dude, tell us the difference in the style of running of the two.
Sante has a little bit more speed, but they both have a huge heart, and they're willing to do anything to win the game. If they have to block, they'll block. If they got to run, they'll run. If they have to go out and catch a pass, they're going to do it because they're going to do anything to put us in the best position to win the game.
Both have size, though.
They're both about like the same size.
Well,
I mean, Blackwell's
about
bit
230,
bigger,
isn't he?
A little bit bigger, but Asante has him in speed a little bit.
Yeah.
But Blackwell's one of the hardest working sophomores I've ever met. I'm real proud he's on my team, and I'm proud he's next to me in the backfield.
Mike, when you look at Brick Memorial as a defensive football team, what kind of team do you see?
I see a bunch of horses getting ready to rip my head off. But this week, our offensive line working hard. I know the Nobles are coming after us, but we're prepared. We're ready.
All right, we only have a little bit of time left. So since the offensive linemen are so important to you, I mean, they're the guys that sort of, save your bacon. Why don't you tell us who they are so we know that you gave them a little credit on the radio?
Well, we have Will Sagaris in the center. We have Isaiah and Luke Butera, Tim Peterson, and Malamed as our line.
Okay. And those are the guys who tomorrow night you will count on to keep the Nobiles away from you, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mike Husney, outstanding junior quarterback from Toms River High School North, good enough to join us with mom and younger sister?
Yes, sir.
What's your sister's name?
Mia.
All right. How was your dinner, mate? Did you eat?
She's got the right shirt on.
She does. She's got the Husney shirt on. They're available for $19.95.
How about mom, though? Unable to drive, young kid here, little junior. Mom gives up Madonna tickets at the Madison Square Garden to drive Mike down here for the show. We can't thank her enough.
Where else would you rather be? Come on.
Me tonight?
You'd be at Madonna.
He could have walked here. I mean, it's not that far. I know Toms River's big, but
Don't they have buses?
Michael, thank you very much for coming down. We wish you best of luck. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you for having me.
All right, stick right here. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's Batters time. We talk with Bob Batters. After this, you're listening to the Thursday Night High School Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
At Jersey Mike's, we know busy lives and dinner don't always mix. But by making a sub above, we help make time for dinner time. With cold subs on warm nights and hot subs grilled for cool evenings. It's a really well-made meal, de-stressed. It's something really good, shared simply. It's a delicious dinner time in the bag. Jersey Mike's, be a sub above.
Water Street Bar and Grill in downtown Toms River is the ultimate sports bar. With 32 HD TVs, Water Street brings you all the action of every football game. Located right on the water, Water Street is the perfect place to enjoy the finest views of the shore. Whether you want to grab a few drinks with friends, catch your favorite game, eat a delicious meal, or enjoy live entertainment every Friday and Saturday nights, Water Street is the place for a good time. Located across from Huddy Park on Robbins Parkway in downtown Toms River. Visit them at bakerswaterstreet.com.
For the latest high school football news, visit shoresportsnetwork.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
We are back at Baker's Water Street Grill in Toms River. Beautiful night tonight, by the way, to sit outside on the water. Doesn't get much better in mid-September. And Kevin Williams, Matt Harmon, Ed Sarluka, of course, talking high school football. Tom Tremblay here doing his usual terrific job, keeping everything together. Zach Collins back at the studios of the Shore Sports Network, and hopefully on the line with us, our football writer and our main guy, Bob Batters. Bob, how are you tonight?
Good, guys. Good to hear from you.
Always good to talk to you. We chatted a little bit about what took place last week, and I'm most interested from your perspective on what you're looking at this weekend. What kind of stands out to you as the big games in full week number 2?
Well, in week 2, Friday is the big night where we really have our most important games. The first one I'm looking at is where I'll be on Friday night, and that's at Borden Stadium up in Rumson. See the Bulldogs open their season against a Mattawan team that's 0-1. They have a new quarterback because of the injury to George Pearson, and those are two teams that could see each other down the road in the state playoffs after the brackets were realigned. Both are sectional champions from last season, so that should be an excellent game Friday night in Rumson.
Bob, what could you tell us about Burlew? They're quarterback that nobody really knew about until last week.
Well, just from watching some of the highlights we had and seeing a little bit of their film, he's a left-handed quarterback. It looks like he's got some good speed. He had a nice touchdown run where he was able to get to the edge and tiptoe the sideline. And he threw the ball nicely. 7 of 9, around 100 yards. He had a couple rushing touchdowns. So, he's not George Pearson out there where they're going to be able to drop back and really just throw the ball over the field, which they did last year. But just from seeing what he brought to the table week 1 against a very good St. John Vianney team, obviously that we have ranked in the top 5, he played well. They didn't lose the game because of what they had at the quarterback position. So, I think Mattawa would certainly like to have Pearson back. But going forward with the junior Jake Burley, they got to feel okay. Like they got a very good chance to go in there and play well.
Bob, as we've been talking about a little bit during the course of the show here this evening, all of these teams that lost in opening week 1, it is very dangerous to think of the prospect of going 0-2 as you look at some of those teams. Schedules obviously could change. Maybe you do play the 2 hardest games on your schedule early, but as you look at the teams right now that are 0-1, which are the ones that you're most worried about that if they do go 0-2, they're not going to be able to get themselves off the deck?
Well, I'll first start off with Manawan as a team that I'm not worried about because last year they were 0-2 and all they did was go on and win a sectional title. But again, obviously not every team is going to do that. Brick Memorial is a team that stands out off the bat. I know you guys will be there tomorrow night. The Mustangs, they got knocked around really good by Brick last week, and now they have Toms River North at home. It's A South. It's no surprise that week in, week out, it's a grind for every team. But sometimes it's where you have these games. And for Brick Memorial to be at 0-1 and now having to welcome in, a very talented Mariners team, that's going to be a tall order for them. I really think they need to, to pick it up there. A team like Wall, where you don't know the situation with Matt Cluley, he's out indefinitely. What's the quarterback situation going to be? They're at Ocean, which from what I saw the Spartans in week 1 is going to be a very tough one. And and in that division, you have Red Knight Catholic at the top, but even to stay close and try to fight for a playoff spot, it's going to be hard to go down 0-2 there. So those teams, stand out, right away as far as needing to get a win this week.
One more, Bob, for me, and that would be Neptune, who had the tough loss against Ocean, now comes in versus the top team in the Shore in Middletown South. Talk about playing 2 tough games back-to-back.
Yeah, and you reminded me of another team I'll get to after. But yes, that's a very tall order for a young Neptune. They're inexperienced. They only bringing back about 3 or 4 starters coming into the season. They were without, Isaiah Calhoun for that week 1 game against Ocean. So you're right. It doesn't get any easier, we're having to go to the Swamp and play Middletown South. And, those 2 programs, have a long history against each other, but there's certainly a rivalry there. So both teams are going to be fired up for that. But you're right. You have to imagine Neptune going into the Swamp, having to play a Middletown South team, which, after falling behind 21-3, looked phenomenal against South Brunswick. It's a tall order, so Rodney Taylor and crew certainly have the work cut out for them. And the other team is Manasquan. Manasquan lost at home to Raritan for the first time, and now they bring in a Monmouth team that scored 40 points week 1, had a couple 100-yard rushers. So certainly, they're not going to want to fall down 0-2. That would be very uncharacteristic for Manasquan, certainly.
Bob, as you just look a little bit back to week number 1, what was the biggest surprise that you felt like coming out of that first official week of the season? Take away the week 0 games, but out of week 1, the team that surprised you the most with either a win or a loss?
I'm going to say Howell. Howell came out after seeing them in the preseason. I kind of wasn't sure what to make of the Rebels. They're still changing a lot under Luke Sinkhorn, and it's not just schemes; it's kind of philosophy. When you have such a pass-heavy offense for so long, that kind of permeates everything you do. So, they even admitted in the preseason they're kind of still trying to find their way. And Colton Knight bringing back some more guys. But Howell went out and had a nice 2013 win in week 1. And, a game we've all talked about a ton already. I mean, Brick coming out and playing that well against Brick Memorial, 36-6. I don't know if anyone saw that coming. I think we all figured that would be a close game decided in the end. And it was decided pretty early by the Dragons. So those 2 stand out right off the bat.
We're talking with Shore Sports Network football beat writer Bob Batters, joins us here tonight. Bob, I got to figure that each week there'll be one upset in Class B South. There'll be one game that will scratch our head. So of the 4 this weekend, Point Borough at Donovan Catholic, Barnegat at Central, Manchester at Jackson Liberty, Pinelands at Lakewood. Give me this week's possible upset.
Oh, I mean, you look at the Barnegat Central game. I don't even know if you could. You say Central's the favorite because they're at home. I think that's a pretty tight game, so I think that can go either way. But look at that Manchester Jackson Liberty game. Again, you want to say Liberty's the favorite. Certainly Manchester can go in there and win that game. I really like Lakewood at home coming off what they did week 1. And same thing with Point Borough. I just think Point Borough is going to be a quietly solid team that maybe till the end of the year, we don't realize how good they are. But as you said, this division week in, week out, we can flip a coin. I mean, this might be the division that gives us a lot of crooked numbers in the loss side of our picks.
I agree. By the way, Lakewood's game Saturday night, is the game where they bring the portable lights in, and the Piners will host Pinelands. That's a 7 o'clock game. They try and do that once each season.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Are they portable lights, or are they playing somewhere else in one of the parks or something? But portable lights, Bob, for sure.
Yes, I talked to Lakewood head coach L.J. Clark a couple days ago, and he said they did a lot of fundraising to get the portable lights.
Okay.
The Lakewood Police Department helped and donated some lights. And he said in the past, they've had lights there. As you said, they try to do that once a year if they can. And a lot of times, they can only get a couple. It's not really lit that well. He said this time it should really look like a brightly lit up night game. And L.J. said last week, he said the crowd that they had for their game at Central was the biggest crowd of Lakewood supporters he's seen in a long time. So he's really hyped up for Saturday night as they welcome in Pinelands.
Hey, Bob, did LJ mention anything about the traveling he did last weekend? He got up to see Tyrese Beverett and somebody else, right?
We talked. We didn't get to talk about that. We did talk about Tyrese Beverett. He definitely came up in our conversations. But Lakewood's been sending a lot of kids to the next level. Detrell Reed last year,
right?
Obviously Tyrese Beverett. So
Stony Brook.
I know he's. That's right, Stony Brook. I know he's excited to get out there and see his kids perform at the collegiate level.
Bobby, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes tonight. Of course, we'll look forward to all your stuff this weekend on the Shore Sports Network. And again, thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Guys, thanks. Always a pleasure.
All right, that's our guy, Bob Batters. You can check him out on Shore Sports Network, doing a great job for us. That music means this first hour is over. We'll be back on the other side of the news break. We'll talk with modern-day prep coach Shannon Hoadley. Still coming up, Monmouth's Kevin Callahan. And you're hearing it all on the Thursday Night Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
WOBM Lakewood Township, WADB Asbury Park, a Town Square media station. Live from the Preferred Home Healthcare Studio, this is the Jersey Shore's news leader. Listen online at WOBMAM.com and on the Radio Pub app for smartphones and tablets. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Clear and comfortable through the night and a sunny Friday ahead. I'm Tom Angeli, WOBM News. New Jersey U.S. Senator Robert Menendez likely won't see proceedings in his corruption trial until fall 2016. The district judge pushed the date back in anticipation of appeals and pretrial motions. He's accused of swapping political influence for cash and gifts. Well, we've heard for weeks about a parking crunch in Camden for Jerseyans heading to the Babel visit in Philadelphia. Well, no more. Camden Mayor Dana Red says that 8,500 waterfront spaces have opened and can be paid in advance at gatewaytothepope.com.
Click and Park, a nationally known company that has done large events such as the Super Bowl, has been designated as our online vendor.
They're $44 each. Still, she says traffic snarls in and out of the city are likely. Landlords and tenants with differences should be aware of their rights and responsibilities. Ocean County's court system holds a free seminar Friday at 10 a.m. in the courthouse on Hooper Avenue in Toms River. Jersey Shore weather from WOBM meteorologist Dan Zero. Clear and cool, temps around 60. Sunny and warm Friday, low to mid-80s. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and WOBMAM.com.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Lacera.
3 witnesses testified today
all of them soldiers.
Army Chief of Public Affairs Colonel Daniel J.W. King after the first day of a military hearing for Sergeant Bo Bergdahl. Bergdahl charged with desertion and misbehavior before the enemy for leaving his post in Afghanistan. He was captured and held by the Taliban for 5 years before being released in a controversial prisoner swap. Captain John Billings, who led Bergdahl's platoon, described the 45-day search for the Idaho native as grueling, saying soldiers got little food or sleep and endured temperatures in the high 90s. Lawyers for Bergdahl will call witnesses tomorrow. Wildfires in Northern California now blamed for at least 5 deaths.
Some of the residents forced to flee last weekend when 2 fires exploded north of Napa and southeast of Sacramento already know they still have a house.
We want to go home.
He's got his own water and says some have electricity back, but others in temporary shelters at the Napa County Fairgrounds are anxious to assess the damage.
I got to get out of here. I want to see my house or what's left of it.
The 2 fires have destroyed more than 800 homes, charring more than 200 square miles between them. The most destructive in Lake County is now over 1/3 contained as firefighters continue to do battle.
Fox Radio's Lisa Brady. Authorities in Utah saying searchers have found the last body of 7 hikers killed in flash flooding that swept through a narrow canyon at Utah's Zion National Park. The group of people from California and Nevada set out Monday before park officials closed the canyons. A New York City man in court today accused of attempting to join ISIS. 22-year-old Ali Saleh charged with attempting to provide material support to terrorists.
According to the complaint, he was attempting to travel overseas to be a member of, to join ISIL, join up with ISIL. That's the allegation. It's an informal charge. There's no need for him to respond, and he didn't.
Saleh's attorney, Susan Kellerman, fair and balanced.
Real experience, real insight.
We're following this explosive story.
Nothing gets by Greta. Then,
this is all BS. What was that all about?
There's no spin and no question. O'Reilly dominates. Plus, smart, sharp, and cutting edge.
It's the news of the day, but with a little heat.
Megan delivers. And Sean seals the deal with fearless talk.
What part of that aren't you understanding?
Most watched, most trusted. Fox News Channel.
There's more to Fox News Radio than meets the ear. Go behind the headlines and join the conversation on the hottest stories of the day on the Fox News Radio Facebook page. Be a part of the Fox News Radio Facebook fan community. Post comments and tell us your opinions. See behind-the-scenes photos and videos and post your reactions to the stories that matter to you. Click the like button on Facebook and connect with breaking news and features like Fox in the Fast Lane, House Call for Help, and more. Go to Facebook.com/Fox News Radio.
Criminal charges and a settlement for GM, but that's not the end of the federal probe over defective ignition switches blamed for dozens of deaths.
General Motors failed to let us know that ignition switches and now recalled older Chevy Cobalts and Saturn Ions were deadly. A criminal nondisclosure tied to dozens of deaths and hundreds of injuries that U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara has settled.
GM has agreed to the appointment of an independent federal monitor, and GM has made critical factual admissions.
So we're told people could still be charged in the case. GM is also paying hundreds of millions of dollars more in lawsuits and victim compensation. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News Radio.
Leaders in Croatia putting the army at the ready after Syrian refugees tried to pour into the country. 2 sponsors pull out of The View after comments hosts made about a Miss America contestant.
Johnson & Johnson and Eggland's Best have withdrawn their support from ABC's The View, according to The Wrap, over comments made surrounding a nurse on the Miss America pageant. Michelle Collins said one of the contestants came out in a nurse's uniform and basically read her emails out loud and shockingly did not win, while Behar questioned her outfit. Nurses around the country took to Twitter with the hashtag Nurses Unite, which led to an apology, sort of.
I was not talking about her as a nurse. We were talking about the talent competition, and it got misconstrued.
Clearly, that wasn't enough for the 2 sponsors who pulled out. Johnson & Johnson saying the company values and appreciates nurses and the critical role they play. Michelle Polino, Fox News Radio.
A proposal in North Carolina to eventually place a statue of the Reverend Billy Graham inside the U.S. Capitol, replacing a statue of a former politician with white supremacist ties, winning state legislative approval. North Carolina senators voted unanimously to pass the measure. The bill now goes to the governor's desk. Congressional guidelines state a person's statue can only be placed in the Capitol after they have passed away. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Your home for high school football. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
And welcome back. I guess like midway through the third quarter here for us, really, on the Thursday Night High School Football Show here on the Shore Sports Network and broadcasting live from Baker's Water Street Grill in downtown Toms River, sort of, right on the water here on what is just a beautiful Thursday night. Well, I'll tell you what, if you were on vacation this week, boy, did you hit a home run, huh?
Oh, there's no doubt. I was down on the beach for a little bit today. I mean, it was just perfect.
And there's really nobody around.
Nobody really around. Water has been calm all week.
Very calm, yeah.
I mean, obviously, for people who like to get out and surf, it's not certainly the best of weeks.
Right.
What September is usually a pretty good month, but in terms of the weather itself, it has been fantastic.
Yeah, sure has. Looks like we're going to get a little bit of a cold front come through on Sunday. Things will change, but should be a beautiful weekend. Hopefully on the line with us, we have the first-year head football coach from Mater Dei Prep, who opened up with a win last week, a convincing 35-0 win over Keensburg. He is Shannon Hoadley. Coach, I hope you're with us. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Kevin.
Hey, good to talk to you, and congratulations on the opening win. Your first as a head coach here at Mater Dei Prep, but certainly not your first at Mater Dei Prep. Obviously, you've been there before. You've been the defensive coordinator, but almost like I asked Coach Zdanowicz a little bit earlier, obviously a little bit different when you're the head man. I just wondering about what your emotions were, game day and all of that leading up to kickoff.
Boy, when we talked about the emotions of the day last Saturday, to say that it was 9 months of finally being able to take a breath, a long, deep breath at the end of the victory with my team and my coaches, those words are an understatement. I talk to my team all the time about opportunity. You never know when opportunities come around in life. And to say that what we've gone through and to the destiny of where we were at right now, the last time that I wore a Mater Dei Seraph uniform was 27 years ago. The last game I had played was against Keensburg on Thanksgiving Day, and it was at Keensburg. To fast forward 27 years, I'm standing as a dream of mine as my first time as a head coach with Mater Dei Prep and standing in the same away locker room as the last time I dressed. I looked at my boys, my hair was standing up on my arms. There wasn't a dry eye in the locker room. At that point in time, we all knew that there was a purpose behind everything that we've been doing, from saving the school, coming together as a community, putting it all together, and then coming out and having my team perform the way they did on Saturday. And then I got to admit, I got a little mad at the end of the game when they gave me my first Gatorade bath. But after all the emotions calmed down, there was some tears flowing, and it was nice to take a nice deep breath, and now to get that all behind to business in hand, and now it's just football season. We're ready to move forward.
Coach, going into the year, I think that Mater Dei Prep would be one of the more interesting teams to think about, because you guys had that success from a year ago that I think going into at least this year, no one is quite sure, at least prior to week one, and you guys obviously with the dominant win last week, I don't think anyone was quite sure whether or not it was a one-year thing, or is this the direction now that Mater Dei football is heading?
That's completely understandable. Speaking to a lot of coaches at 7-on-7s and various scrimmages, nobody really understood what our identity is going to be until we get out on the field and perform like we did at the 7-on-7, the way I know that my team's been performing at practice. And then obviously going into week one, we're the same Mater Dei Prep team that we put together as, our mission statement started 5 years ago, rebuilding a program and bringing the school back to dominance. And we're not reinventing the wheel over here now, or I'm not with my coaches. We're going with the same type of offense we've run in the past, same type of defensive scheme that we've done in the past. My players are already acclimated to what I believe and what my mission is, with the team, and we're moving forward.
Coach, give us a little thumbnail sketch of some of your stars this year.
Well, obviously, the first off that everybody likes to talk about, I'm blessed with a very special athlete, Eddie Lewis, my wide receiver, who's a junior this year. He's done some amazing things in the past, and I look to do more amazing things coming down the road for him. He's a special young man, inside the classroom, in the halls, in the community, on the football field as well. He actually did the first time in my 19 years of coaching high school football I've ever seen it. He actually had punt return for 75 yards, and of course got the call back for a block in the back. He was punted to again and returned it 85 yards for a touchdown back to back.
Wow.
And when I see plays like that, I just shake my head at how blessed I am to have an athlete like that on my program. But it goes much deeper than him as well. I have a real strong linebacker, fullback, Jonathan Labintis, as a sophomore last year, had 93 tackles for me at linebacker, and he's moved into my super back position in our offense. He did some great things that day as well. I think he had about 8 carries or 7 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. And I have a nice little quarterback this year. Everybody likes to talk about if I had a dime for everyone and come to me, what are you going to do with Christian Palmer not in your offense this year? Who's your quarterback going to be? We have a sophomore this year named Kyle Devaney, who, when I say he took the work ethic of what Christian taught him last year, the first to practice, the last to leave, do the work in the classroom on the film. He's done some really nice things for us, and it was a pleasure to see him go out there on the field with the pressure that this young man has had on his shoulders of trying to replace a Christian Palmer. His first varsity drive, he goes 90 yards with a touchdown. So I expect real good things out of Kyle Devaney.
We're talking with Shannon Hoadley, the first-year head coach at his alma mater, Mater Dei Prep. You talked about the emotions of last week, and of course at Keensburg. Well, now you'll go through it a little bit again because you'll be home for the first time on Saturday. Tell us a little bit about the team you'll be playing. Obviously, not one we would be familiar with.
North Collegiate Academy Charters from up north. Very fast team. They do some real good things on offense. They'll run a spread. They also come at you off the ball with a 5-3 defense, trying to get their players on the edge, give you a little pressure in the backfield. It's hard to get a good read on them. They did very well their first week, beating Marist High School, and then they came back and played a tough week team last week. But it's definitely a team that we've already looked at. We studied on film. Definitely my program's not taking them lightly by any stretch. We're going to go out with our regular work ethic at what we're planning on doing, attack, alignment, assignment, and go.
You are in Class B Central with a very powerful Shore regional program that's expected to indeed be very good again, and got off to a good start. Point Beach, a team that's has won quite a bit of late. Where do you see the Seraphs in here, and do you expect your team is competing for a division title?
Well, in my opinion, everything goes through Shore. They're the top dog. Coach Taz does an amazing job with that program year in, year out. They're the top dog in the division. Until anybody knocks them off, they have to stay in the matter. Point Beach with Coach Wagner, who I have the utmost respect for as well, actually reached out to me, congratulating me on my first win. They're always going to be well coached. They were young last year as well, coming back. The whole thing with our division, Kevin, that we were speaking about at our officials meeting, we were very young in our division last year, so a lot of underclassmen got some valuable experience. So every team in our division is going to be much improved, as what I've seen already in scouting and already from word of mouth on how teams played last weekend. Of course, we want to compete for the division championship. We competed and came up a little short against Shore Regional last year. I expect to be in that game again this year. Moving forward, we want to compete for a division championship as well as a state championship every year, and that's on my young men's mind.
Shannon, we just wanted to get you on for a few minutes. We wanted to congratulate you on that win, but most of all, what your school and program has gone through over these past few months. I think it's noteworthy that not only you survived the possibility of closing, but you're able to keep kids together. And while you didn't get officially hired till June, a little bit of a late start, maybe. Obviously, things coming together real well, and we hope to talk to you again. And we wish you nothing but the absolute very best this season.
Kevin, thank you so much, and like I reached out to you before, keep up the good work. You guys are the foremost out in the forefront of everybody covering Shore Conference sports. So thank you very much for the time. Appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon down the road.
All right, go Seraphs. That's Shannon Hoadley, the first-year head coach at Mater Dei Prep. They get off to a good start last week.
He mentioned that Shore regional game last year. One of the tougher games Shore had all year, 14-8 victory for Shore. They played them real tough.
Yeah, well, again, think about what they went through. We all thought, last spring it would be a free-for-all. And Eddie Lewis, what school, where is he going, and that kind of thing. And they did a great job of keeping it together.
They went how long? Maybe 6 months when they didn't think there was even going to be a
Oh,
school.
yeah.
I mean, think about the coach.
Yeah.
You know, to be lucky, the school was lucky to have Shannon, still be around. I mean, he could have gone elsewhere to coach.
And
I'm sure he could have been on many staffs.
And obviously, for someone who's an alumnus and the coach, be an assistant, that's the kind of guy you need to get through tough times like this. So congratulations to them. Kind of hard not to root for them considering all they've been through. We'll take a break one more time. When we come back, we'll talk with our regular spot with the head coach of the Monmouth University Hawks, Kevin Callahan. We'll do that after this. You're listening to the Thursday Night Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
Hi, it's Dave from the Causeway family of dealerships in Manahawkin. Causeway knows it takes a great game plan and teamwork to keep our customers happy. Like free oil changes and loaner cars. Giving back to the community is another game winner. For 46 years, Causeway has supported countless local charities, schools, and sports teams. This year, Causeway is a proud supporter of Shore Conference High School football. Stop by Causeway Ford Lincoln and present your Shore Conference game ticket to win a 60-inch HD TV. Online at causewaycars.com. Causeway, the right way to buy your next vehicle.
Water Street Bar and Grill in downtown Toms River is the ultimate sports bar. With 32 HD TVs, Water Street brings you all the action of every football game. Located right on the water, Water Street is the perfect place to enjoy the finest views of the shore. Whether you want to grab a few drinks with friends, catch your favorite game, eat a delicious meal, or enjoy live entertainment every Friday and Saturday nights, Water Street is the place for a good time. Located across from Huddy Park on Robbins Parkway in downtown Toms River. Visit them at bakerswaterstreet.com.
When it comes to sports, it's not about winning. It's about being in the game. Hard work, practice, and support from the people around you. That's what it takes to get you in the game. And we know what it takes to keep you in the game. We are Barnabas Health. And just like you, we work hard every day so that everyone we serve can be healthy and stay healthy. Monmouth Medical Center, Monmouth Medical Center Southern Campus, and Community Medical Center. All Barnabas Health facilities, all committed to keeping you in the game. Life is better healthy.
For the latest high school football news, visit shoresportsnetwork.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
And we're late here in the fourth quarter. For us, the Thursday Night High School Football Show. We're going to talk Monmouth University Hawks in just a second. But, Ed, tomorrow night the game will broadcast. Brick Memorial hosting Toms River North on our Jersey Mike's Game of the Week. A little bit special for someone from Brick Memorial.
Yeah, and I'll try to get him on the air at some point tomorrow, but it will be Bill Bruno, the athletic director at Brick Memorial, for the last 13 years. It'll be his last home football game of his career as he moves on to a state-level job with the NJSIAA, and we just want to congratulate Bill and hopefully get a few words from him tomorrow night.
Been a great friend to the Shore Sports Network over the years, and we wish him nothing but the best. Now we have another contact in Robbinsville. We need a favor, right? We got to look at it that way.
You got that right.
All right, speaking of contact Monmouth University Hawks. Last week we talked with Coach Callahan getting set for the big obstacle, the big trip to Central Michigan. Monmouth did not win, but certainly gave a very decent account of themselves, falling 31-10. So, Coach, I'll ask you to kind of grade the whole experience of the trip and, a game against an opponent like that, how you felt the Hawks came out of that one.
Well, Kevin, first of all, I think, our team was really excited to play this game. As you guys know, it was our first ever FBS opponent, a major step for the Monmouth football program, a step that, we had been looking forward to for a number of years, and finally got to the point where we could play a team like that. And I'll tell you what, I was not disappointed at all by the way that our guys played. I thought we played physical. I thought we played hard. I thought we played tough. And this was against a very good Central Michigan team, a team that in the Bahamas Bowl last January was down 35 points and came back and tied it in the last play of the game, went for two against Western Kentucky and ended up not converting. And they have a lot of guys back from that team. It's a team that has a tremendously physical defense, especially their front seven. A quarterback is an excellent player, a 3-year starter for them, and probably an NFL prospect. But I thought the way our guys came out of it, I was very pleased with the way we played. Now, we didn't always execute the way I would want, but I think it was a step forward from the week before against Holy Cross. I think we certainly made progress, and there was enough positive things to build on.
Coach, you go from the brand new with Central Michigan to the very familiar in Wagner. It'll be the 23rd time that Monmouth and Wagner will play football. It's the only school that the Hawks have played since beginning the program back in 1993. This is a Wagner team that comes off of a bye. They started their year with an FBS game as well against Rice, lost that one 56-16. From a coaching standpoint, how much of an advantage would they have having the bye after a game like that?
Well, as a coach, I always dislike playing a team that's had 2 weeks to prepare for us. I mean, not only did they go out in their opening game and get a true assessment of where they're at as a team and as a program and have the ability to look at where they needed to improve, but they had 2 weeks to go out and make those improvements. They've had 2 weeks to study our film, to study Monmouth, to figure out what they want to do. And as you know, Matt, this game, there's a tremendous amount of familiarity. I think the proximity of the two schools certainly plays into that. We cross-pass recruiting all the time. We have a number of coaches who have coached there. They've had guys who have coached with us. It's just got all the makings of a rivalry, and the fact that in a rival game they've had an extra week to prepare for you is a little unsettling.
Coach, a couple of questions from me. First of all, the 6 o'clock starting time. Kind of a weird starting time. I mean, you're going to play the first half in light, the second half in the dark.
Yeah, we found out about that really late in the summer. I think it was in early August that Wagner notified us that they had changed the start time. It's their first home game of this season, the first home game under new head coach, Jason Hotaling. And I think they just wanted to make a special night of it. They'll probably come out in very special new uniforms, probably all black or something like that. But to us, it really doesn't matter what time we play.
Right.
We'll play at noon. We'll play at 8 in the morning. We're just ready to go up and play the game.
Okay, my second question was about the coach. First-year head coach Hal Towling takes over for 34-year, at the helm in Walt Hameline. What about, the change? Will there be difference? I know he was the offensive coordinator, so pretty much things status quo, right?
I don't know how much different they'll be. Certainly, every head coach is going to want to put his own personality and his own stamp on a program. Jason has been with them for the last 3 years as the offensive coordinator. He had a stint with them back in, I think, 2006 through 2009 or somewhere about then, so he was on their staff previously. I don't know how drastically they'll change. A number of their assistants are the same. Looking at what they did against Rice, and although that could change given the 2 weeks, they seem to run the similar packages on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively.
We're talking with Monmouth University head football coach Kevin Callahan. His Hawks will be visiting Wagner, as you heard, Saturday night. Game you can hear right here on the Shore Sports Networks, 1160 and 1310, with Matt Harmon and Eddie Acapinti on the call. Coach, because we tend to like to follow some of the local guys, especially those because they played high school football here. Listening last week to Matt and Eddie, by the way, Harmon was terrific. Eddie was all right. But listening, when I heard Tymir Berry's name for the first time, I kind of smiled a little bit. He's the freshman defensive back from Toms River High School South that you switched a couple of weeks ago from offense to defense, and he got his first shot on the field against Central Michigan. I don't know how big of a body of work it was, but how did he handle being in that position?
I'll tell you what, he did very well, and he was part of a secondary that at one time had 2 true freshmen, 1 sophomore, and 1 senior on the field for a significant portion of the game. Tymir moved over to cornerback right just before the Holy Cross game. And although he wasn't quite ready to go into that game and play, our goal was to get him ready to go get some snaps and play a significant role in week 2. And it was a move that he was all for. He was excited about it. Our secondary coach, Scott Lakatos, thought he saw something in him and his ability to do some things at corner. And He's picked up the position really fast, and although he was recruited as an offensive player, it was really Tymir's decision. We presented him with the option, the opportunity, if you will, and asked him if he truly wanted to do it, and he was all for it. He said, if there's a way that I can help the team, if there's a way that I can get on the field and contribute, let's go. And he's really embraced the move. He did quite well. I mean, he's still a freshman. He still played in his first college football game against an FBS team. And there were some things where he can do better, and there were some things that he will improve on. But for the most part, I thought his body of work for the number of plays that he was in was very good.
And, Coach, obviously it shows what kind of player he is, because that defensive backfield was kind of a crowded spot during the course of the preseason, and a lot of players back. For him to be there for, the better part now of 2 weeks and already being the two deep really shows a pretty solid progression.
It does. I mean, you could tell he's, first of all, Tymir is an extremely competitive player. I recognize that when he was in high school, both on the football field and certainly on the basketball court. And when given the opportunity, it took him a few days to just kind of digest what he was being asked to do. And once he did that, he just has the ability to go make plays. He's a guy that challenges himself every day. He's a guy that competes every day, and whether it's in a game or in practice. And there's no doubt he's done some terrific things, and he's going to continue to get better and better as we move forward. And I'm excited for his success. I'm excited about what he was able to do, and quite honestly, he was excited about it because he had an ex-teammate of his on the opposing sideline last week, and Otis Carney. I know that they shared some time after the game, and Tymir felt very good about the fact that he went out and played significant number of minutes in that game.
Coach, real quick, and give me any kind of answer here, but I think the defense has been okay in the first two games. I think they've played very well. I think the offense has got to step up. That's how I see it.
Okay, I somewhat agree with you. I think that, we've started a little slow in 2 games on defense.
Right.
We've done an outstanding job against the run. And last week, quite honestly, against Central Michigan, that was our goal. They're a really, really run-favored team, and we ganged up on it a little bit and, put our secondary in some positions where, they were going to be forced to make plays one-on-one, and sometimes we did and sometimes we didn't. But overall, I've been fairly pleased with what they've done, particularly coming out in the second half once they've kind of settled in both of our first 2 games. I thought they've played very well in the second half of both the Holy Cross game and the Central Michigan game. On the offensive side, as you guys know, we're starting a first-time player at the quarterback position.
Right.
I thought at Central Michigan, the game slowed down for him a little bit. He was much more at ease, much more in control, saw the field better.
30 seconds.
Still, there's some growth that needs to be had there, and so there's some decision-making that has to continue to improve, and I'm very confident that he will continue to do that, and this is all happening while he's really working with a rookie group of receivers. There's really only one guy in Darren Ambush who's had any type of playing experience, and we've got to get the run game going, and Chaney was banged up a little bit in the Holy Cross game, so we purposely didn't use him an awful lot at Central Michigan. So, but we're moving in the right direction, Ed.
Coach, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Good luck at Wagner on Saturday night. Hopefully we'll have a nice conversation next week. Coach, Monmouth University coach Kevin Callahan. Thank all our guests tonight. Lenny Zadanowitz and Alex Capasso from Brick, Mike Husley from Tom's River North, Shannon Hoadley from Modern Day Prep, and of course KC as well. For Tom Tremblay and Zach Collins and my partners Ed Sarluka and Matt Harmon, I'm Kevin Williams. We've been listening. You've been listening from the Water Street Bar and Grill to the Thursday Night High School Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
This is Marianne Levy, News Talk Radio WOBM.